Hey, folks, it's Spoilerin time. The Cordkillers production. I put it that way because Cordkillers is our other show where we spend a lot of time figuring out how to watch stuff. And this is the show where we've watched it and we get to have fun talking about it. This week, we're going to talk about episode 7 of season 1 of Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, as well as episode 7 and 8 of season 3 of The Good Place. I'm Tom Merritt, and joining me to do all of this fun chicanery is Brian Brushwood.
Yeah, chicanery is my middle name. Oh, man, why did I not give any of my children chicanery as their middle name? I feel terrible. I'm a bad parent.
You'll have to have another child.
At one point, I threatened to give one of my children the middle name of Effin, E-F-F-E-N, so that whenever they were in trouble, they still sounded like a badass. Like, Calliope Effin Brushwood, get over here.
Hell yeah.
Shall we take a moment and peek in on how the movie draft is going?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's nothing better in my world than the disappointment in Tom's voice.
There were a few days ago where DTNS was number 1.
Oh.
We didn't do a show last week. And so that was the sound of my feelings over the last 2 weeks. Yes, we should look because DTNS is, Brian's back in first place.
Yeah. How did that happen, man? I guess, let's see.
Because a star has been born, Brian. That star is named A Star Is Born, the movie you own that made $185 million and is still going.
Which is still not made as much money as Venom. This is insane to me. I have to think that we are looking at an Oscar bump in another month or two. If
you also got 129 or 128 million out of Bohemian Rhapsody, which I'm a little surprised at.
That one did better than I dared hope. And it looks like it still has legs and is continuing to rock and melt faces. But now, dude, we have heavy contenders. We got Justin coming in with Creed 2 this week. We got, I don't know what Green Book is. Do you know anything about that?
No, that's not the Steve Carell thing.
No, Welcome to Marwin, Steve Carell.
It's like a road trip. I think it's like a retro road trip.
Oh, wait. This weekend is Justin's make or break because he has 2 movies. He spent over half his budget for Creed 2 and Ralph Breaks the Internet.
Less than half.
Either this, do you think he's going to make $350 million from those 2 movies?
Oh my God. And Robin Hood comes out for Team John Trekker and Second Act comes out for you. I mean, this is the Thanksgiving weekend, right? This is when all the movies come out. One, they'll make more this week, which won't necessarily help their bottom line, but they'll make more because of the extended viewing. They all start to come out on Wednesday night for the Thanksgiving holiday here. Creed 2 was pretty low in the Rotten Tomatoes ratings when it first came out, but it has battled back, as Joel, the editor-in-chief of Rotten Tomatoes, said on Twitter, I'm stealing his joke, to 80%, just like Rocky. So I think it's going to make gangbusters for him.
I don't know, though, because I assume Creed 2 is what, rated R or rated PG-13?
Oh, yeah. No, Ralph Breaks the Internet will be the family movie this weekend, probably lead the box office is my guess. And Creed 2 will be number 2. But because so many people are seeing movies, I think it's going to make bank for him.
Yeah.
And he has both of those.
Yeah, I predict 1 week from now, Justin's going to be sitting pretty at number 1 for a hot minute, and then really,
I don't know if he'll catch you in a week, but I guess he could. He certainly will in a couple weeks.
I mean, but keep in mind, after that, all he's got is Bumblebee, and Bumblebee will have to vastly exceed expectations.
Look, I don't like saying this, but it is the most accurate way to say it. There's a lot of good buzz around Bumblebee.
Oh, you.
just true. I'd say it if it wasn't called Bumblebee. No, the feelings people are expressing about this movie in advance of it is that it's supposed to be really good. Even if you've never seen a Transformers movie, you might like this one.
It does feel like they're hitting the right notes of nostalgia that I think a lot of us really wanted from the main Transformers franchise. And really outside of, letting Optimus Prime be voiced by the guy who did the cartoons back in the 80s, there weren't too many concessions to the original story that would please me.
Oh, and by the way, I mean, I think it's telling that we haven't even mentioned till now that Fantastic Beasts opened last weekend, made $62 million for Cordkillers, which is not nothing.
Also, but
not as big of an opening as it could have had.
Am I hearing this right? Getting savaged in the reviews?
Yeah, essentially the short version of the reviews that I've heard is they spend most of the movie telling you things that don't matter, and only give you the interesting stuff at the very end. They should have made the movie about the very end.
And they do a big setup for a sequel, right? Is my understanding also?
Yeah, for sure.
The prosecution of Grindelwald coming next year.
Yeah, the false accusation of Grindelwald for other things that he actually didn't do.
And then get ready for Grindelwald takes the fifth. Grindelwald
turns wizard's evidence.
Grindelwald and the quest for more ramen. Grindelwald, year 43.
I think we have safely avoided my most important topic, which is how I'm done.
Oh, you think you're done? What else you got?
Dr. Seuss did fine. The Grinch did fine. $127 million. I am not disappointed in that. Girl in the Spider's Web did $13 million. Overlord did $17 million. Widows opened at $12 million. These were the bulk up movies that were supposed to give me 30 or 40 million.
Oh.
And a couple of them might still, but that's not going to help.
Yeah, all you have is Welcome to Marwen.
My other big earner made 158 million, and the only movie I have left is Welcome to Marwen.
Tom, can I confess, and I feel bad telling you this, I almost said aloud, why are you worried? You still have like 7 more movies to come out. And then I realized that they were already out.
They're
and that the
out.
only one that I recognized was The Grinch.
Yeah. Goosebumps 2 also kind of screwed me. That should have done better than 46 million, and that's what it got, 46 million. So, yeah, that's fine. I'll just enjoy watching for the rest of the.
Holy cow! Yeah, no, I think I got a shot at this.
Yeah, I think you do. I really do. I think you, John Trekker, and Justin are all in a hot pursuit. It's going to be fun to watch. I'm not even kidding there.
Right on.
All right. I, by supporting my friends, have earned points for The Good Place, which we will now talk about. Episodes
unless
7
you recognize
and 8.
that that's what you're doing, in which case that's only a deterministic motivation.
I just lost the points. So yeah, we had 2 very different episodes here, although they do propel the story forward. We didn't have a show last week, but episode 7 that came out last week was in the library in Arizona, where I can't remember Eleanor and what's Ted Danson's character's name?
Michael.
Eleanor and Michael sit down
Archangel.
with a machine that lets Eleanor see her past experiences in The Good Place and why she and Chidi fell in love. And so it's essentially, as Bryce said before the show, it's a bottle episode, right? We just see a bunch of flashbacks where Eleanor is learning about her love for Chidi.
I rather liked it was like I could breathe deeply getting out of the current timeline again. Like all of a sudden it felt like, oh, that's right. This is a big story and a lot can happen. And I'm glad that they built this silly VR conceit.
That's what The Good Place used to look like. Well, that was a fun season. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know. I liked it for what it was. You had a character transformation that mattered. It felt good. I don't know what else there is to say about it.
Yeah, it really, I mean, it's not a bad episode, but there isn't much to discuss because the payoff of that episode is that Eleanor wants to confess that she loves Chidi, that she really does feel it. And so the whole next episode is a will she, won't she confess her feelings to Chidi, while in the background, a lot of really interesting stuff is happening. We have Chuck, the guy who played Chuck from Better Call Saul, playing the part of the perfect person. He
Doug.
has the perfect score that they know of. So they go to visit him
by the way, to clarify,
what he does.
He's not perfect. He's only the only one to have exactly figured it out. And so...
But they consider him enough of a model human being.
They consider him, they consider him a celebrity.
I don't know that much clarification is needed here. He has the perfect score for The Good Place, so they go to visit him to find out what he's doing so they can help others do the same thing.
Oh, no. I didn't take that at all. In fact, I suspect that you're wrong in even interpreting it that way. This looked to me like, did they say he had the perfect score and I somehow missed it? Because to me, this was straight up fandom. Like, they were fans. They've had his picture hanging on the wall. They just wanted to go geek out and surely
because he had the perfect score.
No, you're right.
So according to the Good Place Wikia, During a mushroom trip, he described to his friend Randy the nature of the afterlife to a surprising degree of accuracy, getting it, quote, 92% correct. As a result, he is a celebrity throughout the universe or in the neighborhood setting of the show, and a portrait of him hangs in Michael's office. But as we see at the end of the episode...
Okay, so I'm actually wrong in saying he had a perfect score, but...
We don't even know what his score is. We know that he's living his life.
That doesn't matter. The point is, they went to visit him to find out how other people could imitate him to get into the good place.
Oh, you know what? Okay, I think if they know he got it about 92% correct, they went to him to get all the mechanisms of the score because he's still alive. So he hadn't died. I guess the accountants know the accounting of what his point system was, but they're not necessarily going to him because he's the best, but because he knows mostly how the system is set up.
I was just trying to summarize what the show was about. Maybe I watched the wrong episode.
But no, and specifically from the rules in the Good Place verse, they've already established that doing things for the points does not yield any increase in points. And it's very clear that he's doing everything for the points. So even though he only stumbled into the way the universe works and he's doing everything for the points, I am convinced that he does not have a very good score at all. And so that's
the whole conflict at the end of the episode, basically.
Yeah, no, yeah. I mean, I don't know why this is so controversial.
No,
his shtick was, we have to visit this guy because he's doing so well at this that we can take what he's doing and apply it to other people. They find out that in doing everything he's supposed to do, he's horribly unhappy. Michael's like, that's no way to live. We should just tell him to be happy and not try to stick to the point system so hard. And at the very end, we find out that he fails. Even though he's trying so hard to play the game right to get into the good place, he doesn't. And I guess it's left up question why he doesn't. Maybe it's because of what Brian says. I don't know.
Right. Man.
Well, I guess that they're going off to the accountants to see because, well, they probably should know his score. I mean, that's. I mean,
it's not wrong when I say they went to visit him because they said this in the episode, right? I
do not remember that. That's where we disagree.
To find out how they could apply what he's doing and help save other people.
Right. The only part where we disagree is that I don't remember in the episode them ever saying he had a high score or was doing well or anything. They just went to visit him and to talk, and I got a very
I thought that was the whole reason they went to visit him is like, this guy really knows how the game works and is racking up the points. Maybe he can help us figure out how to get other people into the good place.
Well, if they know he knows how the system works and has been living with the understanding of that system, then
there are insights to be gained, but
he would have the experience.
Specifically your understanding that they're there because he's doing well. I did not get that impression at all from the episode, and if they said it, I totally missed it. So I don't know. We'll
I don't know that it matters much though, because the point of the story was they thought this was a good model that they could hand to other people for whatever reason, and it wasn't, because even though he was doing things by the book, he had a miserable life. And Michael realized, well, I'm not going to save people for the good place for that. That's horrible. Well, and he ends up not getting in anyway, as we find out from the demon towards the end.
All of this serves, Michael's assertion, I believe at the end of last season, where he's just like, hey guys, I'm beginning to think our entire system is flawed. And it's yet another hammering progressively towards that case.
Yeah, well, sure. I don't. Yeah, maybe.
I mean, that's the point of the Earth trial, right? Is if bad people can become good outside of the point system, then that would prove to the judge that the point system needs to be revamped, which we got reinforced today or in this episode.
And I absolutely agree, Brian, that they will probably bring him up as an example. They will bring this guy up like, look at this guy. He was playing by the point system and it was miserable. His life was horrible. Like, that's not what we should be encouraging.
Mm-hmm. Well, and also I think they did a pretty good job of showing how he was making the lives of those around him demonstrably worse by doing what objectively should be the best things. He was enabling, this 12-year-old on a bicycle to become a domineering real piece of business, that one,
Yeah. Because I feel like it makes more of a case to overturn the point system if he was doing it right. If it's like, oh, well, this is taking the point system to the logical extension is this guy. That's a damnation of the system right there.
Also in this episode, I think we this is also the second episode is the one where Eleanor confesses to Chidi that they were a thing
during the fight, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Which, by the way, the fight, so good.
Wait, remind me of what happened during the fight.
Janet kicking ass.
The actual combat fight. Sorry, I thought you meant an argument between our team and
no,
yeah.
physical fight.
Yeah, remember when you guys were fucking?
Yeah, well, but no, but all the physical fight stuff, I don't know, none of that has any teeth for me, so it didn't really stick around.
Oh.
I
just like seeing Janet kick ass. It was, I love the idea that Janet is their enforcer.
Yeah, and it was fine within the style of The Good Place, but it was like watching a bar fight in Cheers, where it's like I didn't believe.
Okay,
it'd be great to see a change of style just for a brief second.
Be great if the guys who did the choreography for the fighting for like a live action Star Wars.
See, now you're talking. Look, these people can be paid for. They can be bought. You can do this.
They should have sprung for that.
I don't know. It would have been a fun alternate thing, but as a result of it being essentially a sitcom, you got what looked like a fight in a sitcom.
Oh my god!
I mean,
it was great. It was great.
I don't know where we ended though. Like they kick all the demons back through the door, and now what? Now what happens?
Well, they're going to the accountants to investigate the point totals and see who does and doesn't get into the Good Place.
So we're really that I'd forgotten that. So
right.
they said that's the next step.
Right. So they are going back to just the afterlife, and to keep the study squad intact, they're going to hide them in Janet's void.
Yeah,
that's right. They go to the void, and Janet's like, "You might not be able to get back, but definitely when you go to my void, you all die here." I remember.
Yeah. So
do you think everybody retains? I guess in this timeline, everybody retains the memories of this season, because I feel like that's something we've talked about before. I feel like from here forward, we can't afford to give up what we've seen here. Everything else, I feel like, we're learning their core values and their default reactions to everything. But I, as a viewer, would be sad if we lost all the progress we made here.
At least not yet, right? If they give me a really cool twist where there's another good reason, like there has been before, then maybe. But I'm with you, Brian. Right now, unless something drastically changes, it doesn't make sense for them to lose their memories.
Yeah, I will say the end of the episode actually made me feel really good, and it was something that I noticed someone else post online, is that we are essentially done with this Earth arc, which I think had its moments, but I think was rather weak.
So in general, seeing them alive was the least interesting of the three journeys we've had so far.
Right.
Wild.
Yeah.
Well, because it always felt like, okay, great, but when do we get back to the Good Place? When do we get back to the afterlife? When do we get back to the interesting stuff, right?
Oh, by the way, I just realized that Janet's void is exactly what I was wishing for in AI stuff. This can all of a sudden open. We can come back from mid-season break and have a whole bunch of ethical dilemmas with AIs. Like, no, it's totally fine. Like imagine we're walking along and we see Janet just casually murder children, and then she's like, "Oh, don't worry about it. They're just AI constructs. This doesn't count. Mm-hmm. That's how I blow off steam. Do."
So she's not an AI, and she's not a robot, and she's not a woman.
Well, yes, but then at which point then the question becomes, you could explore video game violence and like, is it immoral to play Grand Theft Auto and derive pleasure from running over fake things and all that stuff?
I think you could use the show as a vehicle for that, but I also think I want the show to wrap up soon.
Oh, no. I want the show to go on forever and ever. Rick and Morty, 100 episodes.com.
Well, and that also sounds awful. But I like the characters, and I don't think the characters need to constantly be in peril for 10 years.
Oh,
I want them. I want resolution with their stories, because I don't need them to be the ones as a part.
That's when you have the Good Place, the next generation, where they become angels and save others.
That's what I think they're setting up. Is they're going to be in a safe place in Janet's void. And I think they'll play around with AI stuff, knowing that the trial's coming up later, and it'll be like summer vacation for a little bit, and they'll explore different topics in a giant rubber room, and then next season will be like the trial or whatever.
Maybe, but we didn't get too much of that this season, like in terms of direct ethical lessons compared to the first or the second.
But the bottle episode was entirely about determinism.
We had a lot of them, I'm saying, but not as many. Look, hey, don't give me that look.
So if I can try to state your position to the best of my ability, yes, we did explore a lot of the backstory, and we had a lot of characters, complete narrative arcs of their backgrounds, including Donkey Doug and and they almost went to Tahani's parents and so on, but that was at the expense of the ethical experiments that we have come to love in the previous episodes.
Sure. I'm thinking, and maybe this as I'm thinking about it is a little on the nose, but much like how Michael wanted to have them torture each other forever as a form of infinite torture, I don't want them to be constantly in this show in conflict and trying to find peace in the afterlife.
I'm really willing to just sit back and see where they take me. They've built up that much credit with me where I'm like, all right,
I'm not saying I'm almost
you've surprised me well before. Go for it.
And I'm not saying I'm almost done. I'm not saying my fuse is short. I'm not saying it's bad, this, that, or the other thing. I just think I don't want 100 more episodes of The Good Place. I want a full circle rather than an unending
line. Man, that's so interesting because I totally regard all of the characters as I don't know, just plastic backgrounds for stand-in objects, and all I'm fascinated with are the ethical arguments and what's right and what's wrong. Like that's the real star of the show for me, and there's no shortage of those. Then
that just makes it feel like all the character stuff we've done, especially this season, feel like a total waste of time.
No. They're extremely valuable in that they enhance my appreciation for the ethical quandaries that they're being put in.
Yeah, you can't have really good, deep ethical discussions if you don't have good, full characters to use as
and
your
emotional connections to them.
Yeah, for sure. Actually, the greatest compliment I've gotten about the Gallium audiobook is that Veronica's version of one of the characters sounds like Tahani.
Really?
Yeah. And Veronica too was like, she's like, that's amazing. That's great. I love that. So yeah. That's The Good Place, episode 7 and 8. And it's on mid-season break. Well, no, it's not.
One more.
We get another episode December 6th. So we won't have another episode to talk about for a couple weeks yet.
Yeah. Cool.
Let's talk about Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, episode 107, which is the penultimate episode of the first series of Dirk Gently. And this kind of solves all the questions, right? We finally see them go back in time. We find out the connection between Dirk Gently and the murdered guy. We find out how all of the pieces interleaved, and then we end up with them coming back to where they had been, and sort of they feel anyway, like everything is solved. The only thing that's not is Lydia is still in the dog's body and the dog's still in Lydia's body.
Yeah. So at this point, production note, we didn't have a discussion about whether during our 2-week gap we were going to watch one episode or two. So I ended up watching both episodes. So I'm going to let you lead the discussion, Tom, for fear of spoiling too early on this. But I do recall that in the next to last episode, there was this very flat explanation of here's everything that happened, and then this happened, and then loop 2 and whatever. It was almost as though you suddenly transported to the writer's room in which Max Landis was saying these words aloud to the rest of the writing staff to take his ever so slightly more complicated than I would like. He was running at like 120% on complexity, that to where it dipped into fatiguing territory where, and again, if you have to start each episode for a while with this giant self-aware character exactly enumerating all the multiple threads and arcs of everything, that might be a sign that you're a little bit more complicated than you need to be.
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say about this episode, to be honest, because it worked for me as a thread tire, right? There were a few gaps that I had in my theories about what had actually happened that this tied up. Like, oh, okay, that's why he had the feather coat and the jersey on. I kind of figured it was something like that. There it is. Like I got to see that happen. That's amazing. That's how it came about. That's why he didn't have his key. Okay, that's how that came about. None of those were super important to find out, but they were interesting. I liked putting the pieces together. The only big revelation is that Dirk knew what was going to happen from the beginning because Dirk runs into Dirk and tells him. And so Todd is extremely upset with him when they get back to the present because Todd feels like he was lied to by Dirk the whole time and manipulated. Whereas Dirk is saying, well, hold on, he told me a thing, but he didn't tell me what it meant. And I didn't know what it meant till we were in the puzzle. And even after the puzzle, I wasn't quite sure what everything else meant. And I didn't know what the cat was until we figured it out was the shark. I just knew I was supposed to take it. And so I really actually sympathized with Dirk Gently that he's like, yeah, okay, I did know a thing that I didn't tell you beforehand, but there wasn't very much I could glean from that. I wasn't manipulating you, but I also 100% understand why Todd is just pissed at him.
Yeah. All of a sudden I'm remembering what the last episode mainly consists of. And I don't think this will be a spoiler to say it's mainly place setting to make another interesting. Season. Yeah. So in this regard, it looks like they're following a bit of the Game of Thrones dynamic where it's not the last episode, but the next to last episode of the season that really punches home. And everything else I want to say is about the episode that comes after this. So I will not say anything else.
Well, then we'll wrap up there and talk about that next week, as well as hopefully having maybe a Bodyguard or Homecoming to talk about next week as well. So stay tuned for that. And otherwise, keep supporting us at patreon.com/Cordkillers. We will talk to you again next week.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.